Hello everyone, thank you for joining me. Welcome to video number 2 of my 52 weeks of Tuesday techniques. Last week we looked at how you can turn your white ribbon and linen thread into ribbon and thread to match any coloured project using Stampin' Up markers and Stampin' Blends. Today we're going to be looking at punching. Now if you haven't seen one before, this is one of the punches from Stampin' Up. It folds closed for handy storage, so it will stand up on its end like that. And then to use the punch, simply flip it over and then slide this tab, and that's going to make it spring open, and that's going to give you your punching action. So I've got some cardstock here. So all you do is you slide your cardstock into the slit at the top, line it up with wherever you'd like to punch, and then squeeze all the way down, and then that will punch out your shape. Now, what you might not realise is that you can actually do something called partial punching. So this is where we're not just punching out this one singular shape, we're using the punch slightly differently. So I've got a couple of strips of cardstock here, and we're going to imagine that with this piece of cardstock, I'm wanting to use this rounded top. I'm wanting to kind of keep the square bottom because I want to add this to a card as an embellishment. So to do a partial punch, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my piece of cardstock, and instead of feeding it in to the slit like I normally would if I was punching as normal, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take my card and I'm going to feed it in through this side. So I'm going to line up left and right, and then I'm going to squeeze, and that has created that rounded shape but on the edge of my piece of cardstock here. And then I can rotate and I can use this edge if I wanted to. So I've got another strip here, slightly wider this time, and I'm just going to feed it through. I don't know how easy it is to see, but you're kind of feeding it just under this metal plate here at the top. The first kind of time you do it, it can be a little bit tricky trying to find where it is that you need to slide the card in, but once you've done it once or twice, it's really easy. And then I'm just going to squeeze all the way down, and then I've sort of partially rounded my corners. If I wasn't happy with that, or I wanted something slightly different, I can go again. So again, I'm feeding in just behind that metal plate, and maybe I've decided that actually I'd like to do it so it's a bit wonky. I can do it so it's a bit wonky and give me a slanted edge, but it's a really fun way to kind of extend the use of your punches. Obviously this one that I've used today, this is the modern oval punch, so it's an oval shape, but if you had a punch, I don't know if I've got a current one actually, let me just grab one off my shelf. Let's grab this one. So this punch isn't current, but to give you an idea, so perhaps you wanted this kind of fancy edge on your project, but you didn't want to punch the whole shape, I could use that to get that fancy edge like that, rather than just punching the whole shape like that. So it's a really useful way if you're wanting to kind of extend the length of your punch. So say I had a sentiment that I wanted to stamp that wouldn't quite fit inside this space, I could take a longer strip, punch the one end, and then I could turn it around. Oh, let's move that scrap out of the way, and then pop it in this way, just under that plate, position it where I want it, like that, and then punch all the way down, and then I've got more space to be able to stamp my larger sentiment. So that's it from me today. Like I say, it is a Tuesday technique video, so I'm not creating a full project in these videos. I'm simply showing you some techniques that you may or may not have come across before for you to be able to add to your repertoire. So thank you so much for joining me. If you've enjoyed today's video, I would love it if you would give it a thumbs up, and if you would consider subscribing if you haven't already. As always, the link to my website and the link to shop Stampin' Up products with me is in the description box below. And I do hope that you will join me again next week for next week's Tuesday Techniques. Thank you. Take care. Bye.